Welcome to Green TV, your show that focuses on independent Green Party candidates, and Green New Deal positive solutions, solar jobs, wind jobs, geothermal jobs, rail jobs, conservation jobs, weatherization jobs. With us today on Green TV is Earl Post, Kate Alexandrinova, and Ken Kendrick of the Texas Green Party. Ken, let's first go to you. You ran in 2014 for Texas Agriculture Commissioner, and you are a very well-known whistleblower. But before we get to all that, Ken, tell us a little bit about where were you. Let's start out from where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
And went to school all in Lubbock, Texas. It's just kind of south of the Panhandle, south of Amarillo. I attended Texas Tech University and Wayland Baptist University. Let's see, a whole lot to myself. I am married. I've been married for, oh boy, we're going on 16 years now. I have 2 adult children and 3 wonderful grandchildren who age range 2 to 7. So I'm more than just a whistleblower. I have a family that goes in there with that. And they've been very supportive of me trying to make a difference on food safety, which is what I've been trying to do.
Ken Kendrick, you mentioned your current. Now, did you have brothers and sisters? Big family?
Oh, I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Is yours a Green Party family? Is everybody down in Lubbock, Texas, where you all are from? Is that where you're living now, Ken? Lubbock?
Well, I lost my house in Lubbock, due to being a whistleblower. So I really live in a little bitty town called Wilson, Texas, just south of Lubbock. And it was rated, up until this last ranking, the 2nd most conservative city in the nation behind Provo, Utah. So there are not many Green Party candidates or much support for the Green Party here at all.
Well, there's been lots of Green conservatives all across the country, and I've been down Lubbock Way and down in that neck of the woods, and so I'm familiar with what you're talking about down there. Ken, tell me this: that one little thing you said there wasn't it, Earl? Wasn't it shocking that over the whistleblower issue you lost your house? Is that what you just said, Ken?
Oh, we've lost everything. That's why we're living in Wilson. The job I was working at when this exploded, even though I wasn't working for Peanut Corp anymore, it was an FDA regulated facility. And so I had to go in the hospital. They fired me from the emergency room.
Lord have mercy. Ken Kendrick on Green TV with us now. Ken Kendrick was the Green Party state candidate for Agriculture Commissioner, and as Ken just mentioned, a whistleblower. Ken, do us the good deed here of take it from the start. Tell us this whistleblower story. How did it begin? What happened?
Well, I worked there for Peanut Corp of America at the Texas plant for about 4 months, and before that, I had worked in a lab as a food safety technician. So that's kind of how I broke from being a social work major in school to winding up with something like this. So I was hired on as production planner. And as I was coming on, the owner himself and some other people were just last minute cramming, trying to get something fixed up for an audit from Nestle. Apparently they had one. I was hired July 2006. They had an audit in January of 2006 from Nestle, who failed them with the lowest grade in every category you could. They got no points. It was a 0 score. So they paid for Nestle to come out and do another one. So they were trying to cover up their shortcomings, I found out. That nobody there knew anything about the microbiology testing. I had to look it up myself. I called my old boss from the lab to try to help people. And they really thought that they were going to pass the second Nestle audit. Well, Nestle wrote, yeah, we believe your new management is dedicated to quality, because I rewrote every procedure, staying up late at night trying to save this company. But there was no way they were going to buy from it. There were too many places that rats could come in, even without it raining, and the stuff they were able to hide, because water would leak into there, which makes bird feces leak in, which of course can give you salmonella. So, when the owner, well, one of the managers who pled out, in this whole case, they did prosecute Mr. Parnell, and we're awaiting his sentencing. 9 people died, over 700 made sick that we know of. And from what I hear, you're supposed to multiply that times 34 to get the real number of people who probably got sick or died. So I just did my best to put a quality assurance program together and left, because the final draw on mine was when a plant manager in one of those, this is one who pled out, said if you would microwave those testing sponges before you send them to the lab, we would get better results and everyone might get a raise. So what he was telling me to do was to do all of this testing that Nestle would require, but microwave it to kill off any organisms so it looks like that we're running perfect. And of course I did not or would not do that. He just suggested that I do that.
Ken Kendrick's Green Party whistleblower. Ken, excuse me for interrupting just a session, but one question I think I should have asked earlier. Your academic qualifications, did you go to college for this stuff?
Well, I went to college as a social work major, believe it or not. From there, I had worked at a blood bank. Then I worked in a food safety lab for one of this company that I worked for, did the meat testing for what was then the largest beef producer in America, for Cargill. So I was taught very well on the science end, even though I was hired more to be production planner, kind of assistant manager role, deciding what peanuts to buy and making sure the orders were filled, and kind of a bureaucracy thing. I had to turn that into a quality assurance job almost instantaneously, because nobody at Peanut Corp even knew what acceptable levels of anything were. You could tell them, like I'd come back and go, this is showing thinner parts per million, do we pass? Nobody in Peanut Corp knew. I had to get on the internet and look at the Department of Agriculture's website and figure it out myself, which is interesting because the owner of the company was on the Peanut Standards Board, appointed by George Bush to be on that board. And of course, we look at what happened, right?
So the fella in charge, what you're saying, and this is Ken Kendrick's Green Party whistleblower on Green TV with us. Ken, what you're saying is the fellow who was running Peanut Corp was on the National Standards Board for Peanuts, appointed by the then U.S. president, and he really didn't know what he was doing? Is that what you're saying, Ken?
He knew what he was doing, but now that he's been convicted, I can say this without reprisal, it was over 69 counts that he was convicted of, from fraud to wire conspiracy, lots of attempts to defraud, altering lab results. They used whiteout to alter lab results. This is just in Georgia. Now, the same strain of salmonella was found in Texas because products went back and forth. When this initially broke out, he lied and tried to say that didn't happen, and I had to tell the FDA, yes, it does, and here's some trucking records to prove to you it happened. So he knew what he was doing was wrong because he was on that board, and he probably had a high standards for others, but for him he was not going to spend a penny. There was never supposed to be any money there, and if we asked for any expenditure, we would get yelled and screamed at via the phone, or you'd get a 9-page email calling you names, literally. It was crazy. It was just crazy that this man and his father both ran this business. And I found out later he had been cited once before there's this mold called aflatoxin. What it is, if you get aflatoxin poisoning, it's going to make you very ill, if not kill you. Before this had happened, he was already on a watch list because he had sold aflatoxin peanuts that almost went across the Canadian border, and another one that was going to go into a product made by Walmart. And the companies wound up suing him. And then a little bit after that, he moved the operation to Plainview, Texas, and just kept operating. So he knew, he just chose to do it.
My goodness. Ken Kendrick's Green Party whistleblower and Texas Agriculture Commissioner candidate in 2014. Ken Kendrick's, what kinds of food? Was it just peanuts that you blew the whistle on, or was it other foods beyond just peanuts?
Well, what happens is we call this an ingredient-borne outbreak, because most of the peanuts that were used, like of course peanut butter was the first thing. Yeah. And to give you an idea of how disgusting it is, when you grind peanuts, you know, to put like on those little Nutty Buddy bars, how they have a little sprinkling of peanuts, right. You get a dust made out of that, and they'll use that to make peanut butter. It's a perfectly acceptable practice, except at Peanut Corp, they would wait till they had a full truckload, 44,000 pounds of it, and they were buying 2-year-old peanuts, and then it's taking a couple of years to get this much of that ground stuff to make peanut butter. Then they would ship it to Georgia. So you had 4-year-old product that was going to be made into peanut butter. And they did it anyway, no matter what the age was. And the results came back bad, and this is all in their indictment. You know, Ken Kendrick isn't the one saying it anymore. This is public record now.
And they were convicted, Ken, if I understand you correctly, convicted of, this one gentleman convicted of 69 counts.
Yes, at least 69, and there may have been a few more. But yes, it was 69 accounts, and the jury didn't even hear about the deaths or illnesses. Oh. That was not even brought up in court.
How many people at the company were were charges levied against?
Well, 3 wound up being convicted that didn't plead out. A couple of plant managers from Georgia did plead out. So I think we're looking at about half a dozen before it was over, right around 6. It's kind of hard to tell who cut what deal because we had a lot of unindicted co-conspirators. So, you know, whatever deals they may have cut with the government. But Mr. Parnell held out, his brother held out, and the quality assurance director for the Georgia plant held out, and they all 3 got convicted. Now that we're about to hit the sentencing phase, the jury or the judge can take into account that it actually killed people. Remember, he was convicted on all of this without the jury even knowing that someone got hurt.
You're watching Green TV with Earl Post here in the studio and Kate Alexandrova and, of course, Ken Kendricks. Ken Kendricks is Green Party whistleblower. It's just astounding. Now, it sounded like it went over, what, Earl, 5 years, this whole process, Kate?
Yes.
And still going on. Texas is known as a place of law and order with very harsh penalties for murder. And does this, my guess is this would qualify as, I'm no lawyer, I'm an accountant, but does this qualify as murder down there, Ken Kendricks?
In my opinion, it would be voluntary manslaughter. But this is what the state of Texas did. After all of this happened and all these people got hurt, basically nothing. Now, they did run one tape match with other agencies because come to find out the Department of Agriculture was certifying this plant for organic peanuts. To get that, you have to be registered with the Texas Department of Health. They were never registered with the Department of Health. And on 3 separate occasions, an employee from the Department of Agriculture checked off that they were. He didn't actually look at the certificate himself.
My goodness.
Which is what he's supposed to do. that would have stopped all of this from happening. So he didn't do that part. So the Department of Health was saying that they didn't know anything about the plant even operating. So they ran these tape matches with all these other agencies, and this is easily verifiable. Even on Fox News, you can verify. And when you can verify it on Fox News, 355 facilities that were unlicensed. Yeah. They did not fine or shut down a single one of those 355 companies. When I talked to the press secretary for the Department of Health, I was told that they were just supposed to get them into compliance, that their job wasn't to be punitive, but to get into compliance. And I said, well, if I'm driving 100 in a school zone, are you just going to get me into compliance, or am I going to get a ticket? Now, of course, she was quiet. So what that message that was sent out was, hey, 355 facilities didn't register with the Department of Health. So if you get caught, it's no big deal. Nobody's going to fine you anyway.
So the company, Ken Kendrick's Green Party whistleblower on Green TV with us. Ken, the company is out of business now. Is that true?
Yes.
So their bad practices at least ran them out of business. The other question, I want to connect it to the fact that you ran as a Green Party, excuse me, candidate for Agriculture Commissioner. Under state law in Texas, what were some of your positive proposals, your positive solutions in running for Texas Agriculture Commissioner in Texas that you could protect the consumer from this kind of blatant and disgusting behavior?
Yes. Well, one thing is, they ran that tape cross match I told you about one time. Why that's not being ran regularly now that they got that program set up, I don't know. But they wrote the program to do it, so I know it exists. They should be using it and doing it more to find companies that pop up. They have a very sophisticated scheduling program for their employees that a lot of money is spent on, and a lot of manpower in Austin is being spent on. And this is me being realistic. I wanted a realignment of the positions where the Department of Agriculture has more feet on the ground. They're telling me the scheduling, the employees are telling me the scheduling program's a joke and doesn't work anyway. Okay, so we need to divert that money to more inspectors on the ground. Now, they alone can't go in and shut something down, but they can notify the Department of Health that there is a violation on things that fall under their realm. And then on the foods that fall under the Department of Agriculture's realm, I would expect 100% honesty from the employees. And from what I'm being told, the employees by supervisors are being told, like, for example, they measure your gas pumps. If you're by $3 for gas and you spend $3, you should get a gallon. Well, the Department of Agriculture oversees that. And if it's a large chain store, that company is not being fined. If it's a mom and pop operation, they're paying the $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 fine. That's how the pro-business is working in Texas. So my solution was not only that, I would have a whistleblower hotline for them to call that went straight to my office. We would restructure the top where this computer program thing was not going and have more inspectors in the field. And I would work with the Department of Health and the other agencies where we overlap to have immediate contact. Let's say, for example, they would do your weights and measures on a propane tank. Well, if a propane tank's leaking, that falls under the Railroad Commission's jurisdiction. All the Department of Agriculture can do is say, well, you're in compliance with the weight. You're at the 80% you're supposed to be. And then when they try to get it to the Railroad Commission, their supervisor stonewalled them. I would ask that. If we find a problem that falls in your realm and it's a safe building to have direction.
You're watching Green TV, Green Party Green TV, where we focus on independent Green Party candidates, and positive Green New Deal solutions, eco jobs for the economy, geothermal jobs, solar jobs, wind jobs, rail jobs. On the show with us today is Kate Alexandrova. Alexandrova. Finally got it, Kate. Thanks. And Earl Post and Ken Kendrick's Green Party whistleblower. I want to bring Earl Post and Kate into this conversation. And Kate, maybe start off. What are your impressions of the story, the scandalous story that Ken tells us?
First of all, I'm really happy that you won that case. But as we all know, it came with consequences for you. And this is something that I would really love you to share with us, because we all know that whistleblowers often deal with retaliation and isolation, and it may be not that easy to deal with such things. So tell us what you've been through as far as this case with Peanut Corp goes.
Well, we had tried to get them to come and do an inspection in Texas, even though they had already practically shut down the Georgia plant. No one looked at the Texas plant. So it got so bad to try to get pressure for somebody to look at it, I had to go on Good Morning America. That's what it took to make the Department of Health even go inspect this facility. Now, once they did their third inspection, they closed them down and recalled everything they ever made. But I had to go public. So now I'm a whistleblower known in the public. I've had this happen 4 times now, where I have been at a job interview and they tell me, we would love to hire you, but we can't chance hiring a whistleblower because we're afraid if we do some little something wrong, you'll turn us in. My response has been, unless you're murdering people, I really don't care. I'm here to think it. But, if you've got something that shady to hide, I don't know what to tell you. They even ran a news story on the 6 and 10 o'clock news, ABC and CBS stations going, this whistleblower is an honest man. If anybody out there wants to hire an honest employee, please call us. This is verified through everythinglubbock.com. You can Google that. Everything Lubbock, Kenneth Kendrick, whistleblower paying the price.
Great question, Ken.
At last job I had that was just minimum wage with a really high turnover, once they figured out I was a whistleblower, and this call center took calls in contract for a major medical company. They transferred me to being a directory assistance operator, then shut down directory assistance. We were able to get 50 candidates on the ticket, which is good. And we will be on the ticket 2 years from now, because we did have a statewide candidate that was running for one of the judicial positions statewide. You have to get over 5% to stay on the ballot without getting signatures. So we did have a judicial candidate that did that. So that's great for the Green Party.
Yes, it is.
The Green Party and what we stand for, we want, there's a million different things we can go to under climate control. And I've spoken with at some universities. One, and the gentleman that passed away, Rick Pills, was told to falsify data on greenhouse gases, and he refused to and got fired from the Bush administration. I worked some, and we're not really working together now, but the Government Accountability Project, they're a whistleblower protection group. So I did a college tour with them, and I would highly recommend that any school that's looking for it do a college thing with.
Earl, let me just jump in and ask about the fellow who you just mentioned that was fired. Now, was that in the state government when he was down there? Or that was federal?
Yes, Rick Pills was a federal employee, and they asked him to manipulate the numbers to make global warming look like it wasn't as bad as it was. He went public with it anyway. They will wind up, you're going to have to redefine yourself and try to figure out how to be self-employed, because being a whistleblower is the same thing as being a prison snitch. Now, the Green Party stands with the whistleblowers. We like that part about it. We go to sustainable energy. They want organic to be organic. We want genetically modified food to be labeled as such. They call it the GMO labeling. My campaign was strictly about food safety. Apparently that did not resonate with anyone. They still just voted straight party ticket. not getting that I'm trying to save their life. 3,000 people a year die from food poisoning. That's more than we're losing in the wars in Iraq and all the places we're fighting. I mean, we're losing them at a higher rate from food poisoning than we did on Vietnam if you average it out over the number of days. And no one seems to care about that issue. That really scares me.
It's wonderful to have you on, and we salute your courage. Thank you for the courage that you have shown and the sacrifice that you have made. As looking ahead to 2015 for the Texas Green Party, what kinds of, here in Virginia, for example, in 2015 we have state and local elections. We'll elect 100 members of the House of Delegates, 40 members of the state Senate, and local county board of supervisors races. And the Independent Green Party, I know, is urging everybody to come out and be an Independent Green Party candidate in 2015. On the ballot and in the debate helps to define the debate. Did you find that to be the case in your race down there, Ken?
Now, we're going to be doing a lot more than just having people on the ballot for having them on the ballot. That is not a model we're going to use. We are going to seek out candidates who are committed to following all the way through, who basically agree with the Green Party ideals. Now, nobody's going to agree 100% on everything.
Ken, we're running out of time there. We've got just a few seconds here to say goodbye. Ken Kendrick of the Texas Green Party, a whistleblower and candidate for State Agriculture Commissioner. Ken, we thank you so much for joining us on Green Party Green TV today. Earl Post, thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me get a word in edgewise. And Alexandra Nova, Kate Alexandra Nova. Huh?
Kate Alexandrova. No, nope, not this time.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Tune in again next time for Green TV. We'll see you then.